In fact, a piece of breaking news which is coming in now. These are new visuals of the blast which has been accessed by India today. The CCTV has captured the impact of the blast, showing how the main car actually blew off, and the impact was felt on four other vehicles next to that car which was being driven by Dr. Umar. So you can see clearly he's in the middle of a traffic and the car blows off, impacting 3 to 4 vehicles next to it. That's the reason why the death toll in this Delhi blast near Red Fort now stands at 10. Shreya, I mean, this is going to be a very important piece of evidence. We can see clearly this is an I-20. So far we know that it is only Dr. Umar who was at the wheel when the blast happened, close to 3 to 4 vehicles, because it's a crowded lane, and it was 6:52 p.m. So you can very well imagine that there were commuters, there were people going back to their homes, and it happens on a very, very busy street. This is the video, the CCTV video of November 10th. Shreya.
Well, Maria, this is the most cleanest and closest CCTV of that blast that's been captured. This is the CCTV of the security control zones that's just attached in front of the traffic point, and that captures the exact moment of the blast. You see very slow-moving traffic at around 6:50. That's the timestamp at that CCTV camera. It goes off, and after that, in that CCTV, the kind of light streaks that have been captured, it shows the intensity of the blast, Maria. So far, we have seen multiple CCTVs emerging, but this is probably the closest one that captures the blast from its moment. And as you can see, once that blast goes off, that light comes in, we can see how fire streaks are actually flying around. Everything has just gone helter-skelter. So these are the moments of that day from 10th of November, that dastardly attack when Umar Nabi, he detonated that I-20 car, and the impact of it clearly recorded on that CCTV, Maria, which shows how horrific that blast was that led to the death of so many individuals and injuring so many more.
Yes, and it's in the middle of a busy street, Shreya. And we can see that it is, perhaps there is a traffic jam because there is a red light at this very spot where this blast happens. So the impact is maximum. It's a high-intensity blast because it's in the middle of the street that it blows up.
Well, absolutely. And imagine, he knew probably that he wanted a street which is a little bit jam-packed. Remember, he waited at that T5 parking near Suneri Masjid for 3 hours. So he waited for evening to set. That is something probably the investigators will also look in, because that's when you have maximum people. And that is proven on that CCTV. You see the amount of vehicles that are in and around. There is an extremely slow-moving traffic. We all know that in front of Red Fort, at that junction of the Netaji Subhash Marg, there's always a heavy traffic post evening, and that's exactly when 6:50 that car detonates, that impact happens, all of it recorded on this CCTV camera that India Today has exclusively accessed, and you can see the kind of impact this CCTV has recorded. In the end, when you see after the blast goes off, you will see the fire streaks that have actually also captured on the CCTV, which is probably the remnants of the car, which also the investigators right now initially believe also was laden with ammonium nitrate. So clearly, this is a huge piece of evidence that is also going to be looked and relooked by the NIA, the investigative bodies, but extremely shocking CCTV footage that has been captured. And you can see that captures the moment from that point when the car goes off and the blast has been recorded. This is the cleanest CCTV so far from that day of the blast.
Yes, and that I-20, if we look at these visuals, Shreya, which you have accessed, is surrounded by a number of auto walas. So there are auto drivers and auto rickshaws around that vehicle. So, we know about this entire area. It's close to Chandni Chowk. There is a giant temple around it, and at the very entrance of the crucial Red Fort. So, that's why when we say it's a high sensitive zone and a high security zone, and despite that, a vehicle comes, and what could have been done, you know, in the sense that if it is in the middle of a traffic, then what can the police really do at this point?
Well, see, these will be information that will be investigated, Maria, to understand that whether the entire sequence of events was a planned sequence of event. The reason so, we see this man was parked his car for 3 hours. Did he wait for the traffic time to increase? Did he wait for more number of cars? Because clearly, when he parked his car, which was much earlier towards the late afternoon and early evening, that time you wouldn't have seen so much of traffic in this particular route. But now, at this particular point, at 6:50 onwards, it's usually jam packed. That's clearly seen in that CCTV. The amount of traffic you see, it's a slow moving traffic. This is not something. What we're also confirming, Maria, the traffic signal was still open when this particular detonation took place, but the traffic was moving extremely slow. That is when this car detonated off. And this CCTV finally that we've exclusively accessed, it gives it out all the kind of impact. And as you were pointing it out, Maria, there are a lot of battery rickshaws and auto rickshaws nearby that also goes with the death toll and the kind of impact that has had, because there are multiple deceased who've been recorded to be auto rickshaw walas, battery rickshaw walas, and unfortunately, these are people who are sole bread earners in the family, and very unfortunate set of events, but all captured on that CCTV that we've managed to access. Extremely shocking and extremely dastardly attack that has taken place, all recorded on CCTV, as you can see on India Today.
Extremely scary at the same time, Shreya, because if we look at these images, there's an I-20 in the middle of the street, and then it blows up. There's an explosion which happens. All those around it are shocked because it's you know, a busy street, and that's where it happens. And then we are also looking at another car which has been now traced and found, which is Eco Sport car, which is linked to the suspects 2 days after the blast happened, of course, and it is aiding the investigators in this vehicle trail. So there is a possibility of other vehicles as well.
Well, there is a possibility, Maria, but the reason we see the red eco spot becoming the object of suspicion, finally being traced down, along with that, we saw another man being arrested, is because that car was registered in the name of Umar Nabi, the man who's done this detonation leading to so many deaths that's been captured on the CCTV. He owned the red Eco Sport car. That is the reason that car needed to be tracked down. Thankfully, it has been tracked down. No untoward reports coming in of that having any kind of explosives laid in. But the man who we know has been detained in that concern is probably the owner and the resident of the farmhouse where that car was also parked. That was traced by the Haryana police. But this I-20 car, Maria, this CCTV probably is one of those clinchers which shows that final moment of how that blast took place. In seconds, that I-20 car just blows off. It's in middle of that traffic, Maria. We can all see that I-20 car. It suddenly blows off, and the amount of light that it emits, it shows the kind of intensity that this blast actually had. And you see the flares that goes up after that. Everything just scattered around after it. Clearly an unfortunate moment in history, all recorded on CCTV. And finally, we've accessed that, and our viewers can probably get a sense of how sad and dastardly that attack was, that took place at 6:52 p.m. Is what we know. Because remember, on that very day, the Delhi Police Commissioner confirmed it, and he announced it before the media that it was a slow-moving car which detonated, leading to that blast that the government has now officially called a terror attack.
And Shreya, this is an act of terror, a dastardly act of terror, as it is being called, a sinister plot, which all leads to what the plotters were thinking, that they will be able to make that impact on 6th of December. So it has certainly been unraveled by the investigating agencies, the counter-terrorism forces of India, much before that, thankfully for the country. But 10 lives have been lost. Particularly, if we look at this visual, it's extremely concerning. A vehicle is in the middle of a traffic. There is a red light. That's where this I-20, in which Dr. Umar is at the wheel, has stopped. And then it blows up. There's an explosion which happens. Was this being told is that Dr. Umar acted in haste, that this was not part of their plan, and that happened because his co-conspirators had been arrested earlier that day. Arvind Ojha is also joining us. Arvind, हम लोगों के पास ये तस्वीर आई है जो बहुत ही ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग है और ये दिखा रही किस तरह से इम्पैक्ट होता है उसी वक्त का जब वो I-20 ट्रैफिक के बीच में खड़ी है और उसके बाद ब्लास्ट होता है। ब्लास्ट का मोमेंट ये कैप्चर्ड है।
बिल्कुल देखिए, ये जो सीसीटीवी आया है जो करीब से जिसमें I-20 कार में ब्लास्ट होता है, इससे दो चीजें जो समझ में आती हैं। एक तो ये कि ये कितनी हाई इंटेंसिटी का ब्लास्ट था। अब सवाल है कि क्या अमोनियम नाइट्रेट जैसे एक्सप्लोसिव से इतना बड़ा धमाका हो सकता है। नंबर दो और इंटेंसिटी का अगर आपको अंदाजा लगाना है तो आप देखिए, जब ब्लास्ट होता है उसके बाद जो सीसीटीवी कैमरा इस ब्लास्ट को कैप्चर करता है वो कुछ देर के लिए ब्लैकआउट होता है। आसपास जो गाड़ियां हैं, चूंकि ट्रैफिक वहां पर काफी हैवी रहता है वहां पर, और जैसे ही ब्लास्ट होता है I-20 कार तो उड़ती ही है, आसपास की कई गाड़ियां वो चपेट में आती हैं। और उसके बाद का जो मंजर था, चाहे I-20 कार की बात कर लें, बगल में इको वैन चल रही थी उसकी बात कर लें, सभी पूरी तरह से क्षतिग्रस्त हो गए थे। तो ये सीसीटीवी जो है मॉर्निंग में इंडिया टुडे ने एक्सेस किया था, जिसमें डिस्टेंस से दिख रहा था किस तरह से ब्लास्ट हुआ, और कंट्रोल रूम जो सीसीटीवी को मॉनिटर करता है वहां तक उसका इंपैक्ट गया था। ये ब्लास्ट ये दिखाता है कि इस धमाके की जो इंटेंसिटी है, जो तीव्रता है, वो कितनी बड़ी थी। जी,
ये उस मोमेंट का है, उस वक्त का है अरविंद, जिस वक्त वो ब्लास्ट होता है। लेकिन अगर आप देखिए तो साफ तौर पे दिख रहा है एक बिजी स्ट्रीट है, वो बहुत ही बिजी मार्केट एरिया जहाँ पर से आप रिपोर्ट करते आ रहे हैं। हमने भी वहाँ पर 10 तारीख को देखा जा कर के। तो ये एक रेड लाइट पर ट्रैफिक रुका हुआ है और उसके बाद इम्पैक्ट होता है, और इसीलिए शायद जो इको स्पोर्ट कार का जो आज वो पकड़ा जाना बहुत अहम हो जाता है।
बिल्कुल अहम हो जाता है। लेकिन देखिए, मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ कि जो उमर है और उसके जो सात एसोसिएट हैं, उनकी कई बार लोकेशन जनवरी में लाल किले के आसपास मिली थी। तो ये भी शक जताया जा रहा है कि लाल किले की रेकी की गई थी। अब उमर ने इस रेड लाइट पर ब्लास्ट क्यों किया, इसके पीछे कुछ वजह भी हो सकती है जो इंडिया टुडे को जानकारी मिली है। जो लाल किला है उसके पास पार्किंग में 3 घंटे तक वो खड़ा था। जानकारी ये भी है कि मंडे को लाल किला बंद होता है, लेकिन जो लाल किले के बाहर है वहां पर ट्रैफिक 6 बजे से 7-8 बजे तक काफी ज्यादा होता है, क्योंकि वहां पर कुछ ऐसी गाड़ियां भी खड़ी होती हैं जो सवारी लेती है। साथ ही साथ चांदनी चौक जो घूमने के लिए लोग आते हैं वो देर शाम लाल किले के बाहर बड़ी संख्या में खड़े होते हैं लाल किले को देखने के, यानी भीड़ क्राउडेड इलाका है। और वहां पर ये धमाका हुआ। एक तरफ जो रेकी वाली बात है कि पहले लाल किले की रेकी हुई थी क्योंकि मूवमेंट कई बार दिख रहा था। दूसरा, उमर का आना, रेड फोर्ट के पास पार्किंग में गाड़ी लगाना, और पार्किंग में भी काफी भीड़ होती है जब लाल किला ओपन होता है। लेकिन चूंकि लाल किला ओपन नहीं था, पार्किंग में वो 3 घंटे रुकता है, उसके बाद फिर गाड़ी बाहर निकालता है, यू टर्न लेता है, और उसके बाद ये बम धमाका होता है। और बम धमाके की इंटेंसिटी कैसी थी वो जो हमारे व्यूअर्स है सीसीटीवी देखकर साफ अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि न सिर्फ I-20 कार में धमाका हुआ, वो उड़ गई, बल्कि आसपास की कई गाड़ियों को चपेट में ले लिया। और इतना ही नहीं, उसका इम्पैक्ट उस सीसीटीवी कैमरे पर भी हुआ। कुछ देर के लिए ब्लैकआउट भी हुआ।
जी, लेकिन आपने ये जो कहा कि रेकी किया है डॉक्टर उमर ने, अगर वो रेकी कर चुके थे वहां पर वो फिर से दिखे जाते हैं, तो ये इसको पुलिस किस तरह से जस्टिफाई कर रही है?
देखिए, दरअसल ये इंफॉर्मेशन ऐसे इंडिया टुडे को मिली क्योंकि जो इन्वेस्टिगेटर है उन्होंने बताया कि जो मुजम्मिल है जो अरेस्ट हुआ है फरीदाबाद से, जिसको जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस अरेस्ट करके लेकर गई, और मुजम्मिल के अरेस्ट होने के बाद से ही ये जो 2900 केजी एक्सप्लोसिव रिकवर हुआ है, उस मुजम्मिल की लोकेशन जनवरी में कई बार लाल किले के आसपास मिली है। क्योंकि जब डंप डेटा निकाला गया, एजेंसी ने निकाला, तो उस डंप डेटा से पता चला कि मुजम्मिल रेड फोर्ट के आसपास उसके मोबाइल की लोकेशन कई बार दिखी, उसकी कार की मूवमेंट वहां पर कई बार दिखी, और जनवरी में दिखी और उसके बाद कई बार दिखी। तो ये एजेंसी मानकर चल रही है कि मुजम्मिल ने तो रेकी की ही होगी, साथ में उमर भी कई बार उस लाल किले के आसपास गया होगा। इस वजह से माना जा रहा है लाल किले की रेकी, उसके बाद उमर का फरीदाबाद से दिल्ली आना, दिल्ली के कनॉट प्लेस और कई इलाकों में घूमना, उसके बाद रेड फोर्ट के पास एक पार्किंग में आना और रेड फोर्ट का मंडे को क्लोज रहना, ये कई सीक्वेंस है, इसको समझने की कोशिश कर रही है और इस वजह से उमर यू टर्न लेकर के आता है और रेड फोर्ट के पास जहां काफी क्राउडेड है, वो आपको विजुअल्स में दिखाई भी दे रहा होगा कि कई गाड़ियां हैं, लोग वहां पैदल खड़े भी होते हैं, वहां पर इस ब्लास्ट को अंजाम देना। जी।
एक सवाल अरविंद ये होगा जरूर कि जब यहाँ पर ये डॉक्टर मुजम्मिल की अभी अभी लोकेशन क्या है, अभी क्या उनको अरेस्ट कर लिया गया है? अगर डॉक्टर मुजम्मिल और डॉक्टर उमर साथ में देखे गए हैं रेकी करते हुए इस पूरे एरिया में, तो क्योंकि वो ट्रेस बैक करके अब सारे डॉट्स को कनेक्ट करने की कोशिश की जा रही है।
देखिए, मुजम्मिल को जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस ने अरेस्ट किया। दरअसल लीड्स जब मिली थी, पोस्टर जैश ए मोहम्मद का जम्मू कश्मीर में लगा था, वहां से पूरी लीड्स मिली, जम्मू कश्मीर ने वहां से अरेस्टिंग की, कुछ डॉक्टर्स की। उसके बाद जो इस पूरे केस, इस मॉड्यूल में जो सबसे बड़ा टर्न आया वो जब फरीदाबाद में रेड हुई। उसके बाद एक मकान से 2900 केजी एक्सप्लोसिव मटेरियल्स रिकवर किया फरीदाबाद पुलिस ने। उसके बाद मुजम्मिल को अरेस्ट किया गया। तो मुजम्मिल फिलहाल जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की कस्टडी में है, लेकिन जब भी किसी अक्यूज को पकड़ा जाता है तो एजेंसी कम से कम उसके इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइस की पास्ट हिस्ट्री में जाने की कोशिश करती है, जिससे ये पता चल सके कि वो कहां कहां किन किन लोकेशन पे गया था। तो जो मुजम्मिल का डंप डेटा जब निकाला गया रेड फोर्ट के आसपास से, तब ये पता चला कि मुजम्मिल वहां रेड फोर्ट के आसपास कई बार गया था और इस वजह से एजेंसी को यह शक है कि रेड फोर्ट की रेकी की गई थी और उमर खुद भी कार लेकर पहुंचता है। जबकि कनॉट प्लेस क्राउडेड एरिया है, दिल्ली का दिल कहा जाता है। उसके अलावा मयूर विहार, बदरपुर बॉर्डर से उसकी एंट्री होती है। दिल्ली में कई जगह पर वो गया। उसके बाद फाइनली वो रेड फोर्ट के पास जाता है। रेड फोर्ट के कुछ दूरी पर एक पार्किंग है, पार्किंग भी काफी क्राउडेड होती है, कई गाड़ियां उसमें खड़ी होती हैं। वहां पर वो अपनी कार को पार्क करता है, 3 घंटे उस कार में बैठता है। उसके बाद चूंकि मंडे को रेड फोर्ट बंद रहता है, इस वजह से वो कार लेकर बाहर आता है और एक लंबा यू टर्न लेता है, क्योंकि चांदनी चौक एक साइड है और एक साइड रेड फोर्ट है। बीच में कोई ऐसा कट नहीं है आमने सामने की तरफ जिससे गाड़ी टर्न हो सके। इस वजह से अगर किसी को रेड फोर्ट आना होता है तो वो चांदनी चौक वाले रास्ते से यू टर्न लेकर ही रेड फोर्ट आता है और फिर उसके बाद धमाका होता है, जिसका सीसीटीवी इंडिया टुडे दिखा रहा है।
हाँ, ये बहुत ही अहम आपने डिटेल्स दिया है कि डॉक्टर मुजम्मिल और डॉक्टर उमर ने रेकी किया था और ये डिटेल्स कि उन्होंने रेकी किया था ये आसपास के एरिया का, रेड फोर्ट के आसपास का। That detail has in fact now, Jessica, emerged from the investigation of Dr. Muzammil, who was arrested by the Jammu and Kashmir police. An important piece of piecing together, as we have been saying, the role which has been played by multiple agencies. These agencies continue to make those arrests and raids which continue to happen. And I'm going to ask the producer to play that visual again full screen as Arvind and Shreya continue to be with us. Just look at these images. This is from that traffic light where I-20 stopped for a bit, and you can see other vehicles very much present there, and then the explosion happens. This is when Dr. Umar is at the wheels. Jessica.
Right, these are the first visuals that India Today has captured of the CCTV, where we can see the I-20 exploding. This is the defining moment of the terror blast, where you can see the explosion happening live, which has been captured on camera. This is in the vicinity of the Red Fort area, and you can just see how many vehicles were present in that area at that moment when the blast occurred. It's not just the I-20 exploding, the impact is also huge on the nearby cars. And for more on that, Shreya, you can tell us, when we're looking at this footage, the amount of cars which are present in the area, how huge of an impact this would have, not just on the cars, the nearby localities and the shops. You've also been reporting from the ground where people have been narrating how shocking these visuals were when they saw it first.
Well, Jessica, because we have that all full screen right now where we are showing it to our viewers, the kind of impact of that blast. You can see that the nearby vehicles have also been heavily impacted. You can see portions of the vehicles which have been tossed up, and the car was actually blown into two portions. This is something eyewitness accounts have also pointed it out. And remember the kind of explosive that has been used, which is right now, even as the FSL confirms the report, being traced as an ammonium nitrate fuel oil. You can see the kind of splinters that it leaves, and all the cars nearby that immediately catches fire. And 7 fire tenders had to be stationed at the spot to douse off all those flames, and then a cooling operation took place. But that is probably the defining moment of that Delhi terror blast that India Today has accessed. And you can see how that I-20 car slowly it's moving. It's almost 650, 651 when it blows up, and it engulfs all the car near the vicinity. And the timing of it is extremely crucial, because as we constantly say, that man stayed put in that parking lot for 3 hours. What it looks right now, he probably waited till the traffic actually increases, and that's when he goes and detonates that I-20 car.
Right, you're also mentioning about the timing of when the person was waiting for, this sort of crowd to gather there, and that's when exactly he detonated this. If you could also, take us through the timeline of when this happened, and, because the call happened at around 7 p.m. And that's also one of the times when usually the roads leading up to Red Fort are also very busy. And right next to it, we have the Chandni Chowk market, which is also a very busy area. But this happened on a Monday. So if you could also sort of paint for us the timeline for what it led to what we're seeing on our screens right now.
Jessica, as all our viewers and mostly anyone in the national capital would know, this is a very busy juncture. So just to give you a picture of it, we are at the Netaji Subhash Marg lane, when on the left lane, this is the left lane of the Netaji Subhash Marg, which is going towards Jama Masjid. You have the Red Fort on your left, and on your right hand side, you have your entry to the Chandni Chowk market. Now, the Red Fort remains closed on a Monday, and that is precisely why this man, who's actually done this entire incident in panic, because clearly this was not a part of the original plan, because his members and module members were arrested, he ran away from Faridabad. He stationed in the Red Fort parking lot, which is near the Suneri Bagh Masjid, but he knew that there was no one at the Red Fort because it was a Monday. So probably that's the reason he spent 3 hours from around 3 p.m. till this particular timeline of 6:40. He spent that entire enormous amount of time. He waited for the traffic to increase, and then he slowly moves his car, because 6:48 p.m. is when he comes out of that parking lot of the Red Fort. And in 2 minutes, when he's closing in on that traffic junction, he detonates that car. The impact of it all recorded on that CCTV camera, which shows how the car blew up in pieces, and then it engulfed the entire traffic vicinity. All the cars which were surrounded, it all got engulfed in that fire, and we can see the splinters, the kind of light emission that proves the kind of intensity of the blast. And clearly, that is the timeline. And just before reaching this particular Suneri Bagh Masjid, he'd also gone to another masjid near the Turkman Gate, which is the Faiz-e-Ilahi Masjid, where it is being believed that he probably offered his last prayers 2:30. Subsequently, he goes to the Suneri Bagh parking lot, stays there for 3 hours, waits for the traffic to increase. Then at 6:51, 6:52 is when he detonates that car, all captured on that CCTV. This CCTV will probably be the defining moment of the blast that took place, the terror blast, which now officially the Indian government has also called a terror attack, and its cabinet resolution on the same has also been passed.
Right. When we're also looking at this footage, how do you read it? Do you think it was deliberate or was it accidental? Because a lot of people were also saying that it was a Fidayeen attack. When we look at these visuals which are, coming, where we can see the car blowing up, what is your reading of it?
Well, this is something that investigation will have to say, Jessica. The reason so that we always confuse between a suicide attack and a Fidine attack. In usual context, when a suicide bomber goes, he knows that he will have to die. He will not be escaping from that attack. When we talk about a Fidine attack, their mindset is usually to cause maximum damage. So how does that go? The investigators will have to see, because there's dumped data of that timeline when he was parked in that Suneri Bagh Masjid that's yet to come in, whether he was already in touch with his handlers, because we've also traced down from our investigators, sources in our investigation team in Delhi police, that they were already in touch with a handler abroad in Turkey. So did he get any call? Those dumb data are still being analyzed. Then probably we'll be able to say that whether this was a planned Fidine or a suicide bomb attack. But clearly, from the signs of it, he panicked when he did that. This was not part of the initial plan. That's one thing all the investigators are saying. Be the Jammu and Kashmir police that began the track down on this particular module, to the Delhi police, to the NIA. All sources are pointing it out that this was an attack in panic, because his module members were arrested. He knew no escape. That's the reason he planned this. But one thing is for sure, they did recce Red Fort prior as well. Those information are also trickling down, but there were multiple other places that were also recceed. That also can be confirmed from the amount of ammonium nitrate that was actually, tracked from them. 2,900 kgs of ammonium nitrate. This was probably a series of blasts that they wanted to carry out. That one example, we have it on our screens, and clearly it's one deadly attack that claimed so many lives, and we can see the impact of it all recorded on that camera, Jessica.
Right, but most of these victims, they only had burn injuries. There was no sharpnels which were found, and there were no sharpnels which were even found in the surrounding areas. So that somewhat tells that it was accidental, right?
Well, Jessica, that yet again needs to be understood once the FSL report comes out. Now, whether they did not get a time to actually assemble and create a more larger impact, or probably the kind of impact that we already see is in itself a huge impact, because the entire traffic juncture of that Netaji Subhash Marg came under the impact of that terror blast. And as we talk, we've already recorded at least 12 people who've died in multiple injuries. So clearly, the effect of it itself shows that it was an intense attack. Whether there were other chemicals used along with ammonium nitrate fuel oil, that is something that will come out when the FSL report comes in. So far as the fact that whether they could not foolproof make it into the device that they were looking at by attaching ball bearings and shrapnels, that is something that investigation will say. But irrespective of that, Jessica, we cannot ignore the kind of impact that the CCTV has recorded, and that does point it out, the kind of immense horror everyone in vicinity at that point of time who were present there went through.
Right, and this car was standing in the parking lot for nearly 3 hours, and it went, nobody spotted it, nobody thought that, there was anything wrong with it at that time. It was just standing in the parking lot for a long time. And what do you think is the mystery behind it, and what does it tell about also the safety of the Red Fort, because it's supposed to be one of the most, highest security zones?
Absolutely. It's one of the places where the Prime Minister delivers his speech every Independence Day. It always has a 24/7 CCTV monitoring. It's come previously under the attack of terror agencies. Remember, we've obviously seen that attack that took place during the farmer protest as well. So Red Fort is a fortified place. There's 24/7 monitoring. So definitely there's question that how did an explosive laden car first place get inside the parking lot of the Red Fort parking, which is a T5 parking near the Sunheri Masjid. That's a question that needs to be investigated. And clearly, we do know that there has been some lapses on the part of the kind of coordination that should have been there, because at one time, the Jammu and Kashmir police did a spectacular job in tracking down that module. If not, we would have seen worse impact. But clearly, that one person who was absconding, Umar Muhammad, that one person that the Faridabad police and the Jammu and Kashmir police was looking in a joint operation in Faridabad, he managed to escape from Faridabad, reach the national capital, and carry out that attack. All of it, which has been recorded on the CCTV camera.
Right, this definitely raises some serious questions about the security and the lapses that we witnessed that day. Thank you so much for joining in, Shreya.